How do you see science and football moving forward, the scheme, over the next few years in terms of expansion, graduate schemes, etc.?
I think it's very important to understand that we are, in England, still a long way behind some of the countries in the world, especially in my world in football. You know, the transition of working with science and football together is a relatively recent occurrence in England. But some of the countries I've worked in, it's been going on for many, many years. And I think that it will give us a great advantage to try and catch up, and then, like we do in a lot of other things, then we start to lead. So I think it's a fantastic initiative, but I think it's still very early days. I work at the moment for the Austrian national team as I work with the A team, but I also work as head of coach education.
And compared, how would you say we are compared in scientific terms with the Austrian team or the Austrian FA?
A long way behind. You know, the Austrian have used the German model for the last 10-15 years, and the Germans are streets ahead of a lot of countries, most countries, not just England. And so we started a project called Project 208 just before the European Championships, where every club is affiliated with, they have sports scientists who are trained through the universities at Salzburg and elsewhere, and then through the Football Association. So the two things are linked very closely together. And each player, especially national players, or elite players or selected players in academies, are given a battery of tests with the sports scientists, not once or twice a year, which is quite commonplace, but maybe 20 times a year. And also we introduce a process of what we call performance testing, not fitness testing, which is taught to all the coaches, and then they go back to their clubs and they do that once every week. So you can see that type of development is a long way ahead of what we do in this country. I was the first full-time fitness coach in British football in 1981, and at the time I'd come back from working 3 years in Brazil and years in Portugal, and when I came back to England and realised that the things that we were trying to advocate, we were being laughed at. You know, this is football, it's not science, this is football, it's not art, because that's a little bit different, you know, especially in Brazil, they merge art and science together. Because the question is football art or science? And the answer that the Brazilian coach will give you, it's science, it's art which is backed up by science. And we've tended in the past to separate the two. Football is either an entertainment which is played, or it's a scientific. You know, the two things starting slowly to come together, but they are still a way apart in a lot of people's minds.